One of the biggest negotiations you did was the terrorist negotiation. These people held up a bank.
Well, David, at about 8:30 this morning, 4 people, at least 2 believed to be armed, attempted to hold up the Chase Manhattan branch.
This is Chris. My name is Chris. Joe's gone now, and I'm going to be talking to you now. We want to get back to talking about resolving this thing. We agree that we're going to get everybody out safely.
Okay, listen.
All right, now you and I are going to work on that together, and we're going to work this out. When the time comes for you to come out, you need to walk out the front door very slowly with your hands up. You going to come out now?
In New York a while ago. I forget how many years ago.
Last century,
a while ago, right? But so these guys, they've gone into a robber bank, which doesn't happen very often.
It's rare.
And then they call you, and you're the guy on the phone talking to the bank robbers inside. They have hostages, and you've got to somehow convince them that it's a better idea for them to come out and talk to the police. I want to really break this down, but the first thing I want to understand is what's happening in your head? What's happening in your body, your nervous system? Because I would imagine if I picked up that phone and I know I've got these people's lives in my hands, if I said the wrong thing, they could shoot someone. My body's freaking out. So the first thing I want to know is, going into something like that, how are you, what are you telling yourself? How are you calming your body down so you can actually think clearly and do and say the right thing?
Yeah, well, let's break the setup down a little bit too, because how you get into anything is as important as what you do when you're there. And so the setup is your preparation in advance and the fact that it was a team effort. All right, so I wasn't called. I showed up. And that can often be a big difference. Like, just show up. And and then fall into place. Like, so I showed up with another colleague. I'm in the office in the bureau. Charlie Bodwin, buddy, great guy, comes up and says, there's a bank robbery with hostages in Brooklyn. Let's go. So we just went. We didn't get called. Now, I had missed out on a couple of previous opportunities by not showing up. And afterwards, when I approached the person who was in charge of the negotiation team, she's like, look, show up. Just show up. Show up and be willing to do anything. They want you to get coffee. Go get coffee. Show up, be a team player. Don't show up and look to be the prima donna. Don't whine and complain if you don't get to be the first person on the phone. So I showed up, and I'm a team player. And so we start falling into roles, and we're getting a briefing on the intel on the inside. Nobody's writing this stuff down on what we call situation boards. Big pieces of paper, big note paper that a lot of times you're in a seminar, somebody's writing stuff on tearaway sheets of paper. They look like that. So I look around, I go all right, so let me start taking notes. I ain't trying to prove I'm there by speaking up. I'm paying attention. So I start taking notes. And NYPD commander, Lieutenant McGowan, starts dropping the team into place. We got a great collaborative relationship. He's the most experienced guy on the scene. He hands the phone to one of his guys, first negotiator up. And then since we're collaborating, and I've already shown that I'm a team player, he points to me and he goes, "You be the coach." Cool. I'm cool. I'm not kicking the chairs because I can't. FBI, I should be on a phone. This is a bank. I'm playing whatever role you asked me to play. What Chris Rock's got a routine says, sometimes you play a tambourine. Mm-hmm. I'm there to play a tambourine if necessary. So we're about 5 hours in. I'm coaching as best I can. Me and the primary not exactly on the same sheet of music because our training and our approach is different. I'm way into crisis intervention.
So someone's already started the negotiation?
Yep. The primary negotiator, first negotiator, was a detective from the PD, a guy named Joe. Joe was a very talented dude. And so I'm sitting there listening. I'm coaching where I can. I'm absorbing. And the lieutenant decides to swap negotiators. Looks at Joe, says, Joe, you're out. Chris, you're in. This is what I want you to do. I'm coachable. I've been a team player up to that point. I'm not disruptive. I follow his guidelines. Now, your original question was, what did it feel like? Lives possibly in your hands. If you lean into a process and you're happy that the process works, and I'd been volunteering on a crisis hotline for about 2 years at that point in time, I felt that my skill level was sharp. I'd been sitting there listening. I'm getting coached by a guy who I believe is giving good coaching. You can get lousy coaching from the wrong guy. I've gotten lousy coaching plenty of times. And I'm coachable. So at that point in time, I'm ready to just lean into a process I believe in. I feel like I'm part of a team. And I had to surrender about 90 minutes later.
So I want to break this down a little bit. And because I've heard the tape.
Yeah, so where's Joe? Joe's gone. Where's he going? This is Chris. My name is Chris. Hi. Joe's gone now, and I'm going to be talking to you now. We want to get back to talking about resolving this thing. Yeah, we're sitting down and trying to resolve. You're sitting down and talking about it inside? Who's talking about it?
So first thing, because obviously doing years experience, and I think stress conditioning, you'd probably get used to being in situations of high pressure. And for the beginner person who might be out, they're asking for their first deal, or they're selling their business, they're doing something, and someone's a little bit more experienced perhaps, or they're really putting the heat on them. And it can really trigger. Last time we did a role play, which by the way, can we do another role play at the end of this episode?
Why, of course.
Let's do it. Okay, so stay tuned. We'll see. Last time we did that, I felt my body just went whoosh, like adrenaline up right away.
Yep.
It was insane how fast it happened. And all you did, you just put the pressure on me quick. And I was like, shit, wasn't expecting that. So have you got any tips for someone to be able to minimize that feeling in their body, to calm themselves down, to regulate themselves better so they can think clearer?
Well, think about negotiation as a human performance event, which also makes it sound like performing in a sporting event. So there's a couple things there. How do you loosen up? How do you warm up? How do you prepare? How do you practice? Like, pick any sport. No athlete is ever going to try a new technique for the first time in a big game, in a championship game. Just not going to happen, not when the pressure's on. They're willing to practice. They're going to spend more time in practice and preparation. Like that, there's some teams who work so hard in practice, the players joke that game day is the easiest day of the week because they don't have to, because they work so hard getting ready.
My boxing coach used to tell me, train hard, fight easy.
Yeah.
So our training was hard, and then fighting was quite simple.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching a clip, one of the great soccer/football players in the whole world. The interviewer's going like, what's it take to be like you? And he goes, I'll tell you, but you're not going to do it because I work that hard. Here's my training. But you want to be the best, you prepare. And you don't have to sacrifice your whole life to becoming a better negotiator. But you look at little opportunities throughout the day. I'm thinking about it. I interact with somebody. I think you are aware of our no-oriented questions, where instead of trying to get you to say yes, I ask you to say no. So I say to people, is it a ridiculous idea? All the time. Is it a ridiculous idea if you help me carry my boxes out to my truck because they're heavy? I don't ask people how they are. I take a look at them and I'll do a read because I need to stay warm. I need to stay loose. My negotiation muscles need to stay warm. I may be in a negotiation in 10 minutes.
So instead of saying, how are you? What are you saying?
I say, looks like it's a tough day. Or looks like there've been a lot of idiots through here already today. Or seems like you're having a good day. With that tone of voice. Because I'm practicing my tone of voice all the time. So the playful tone of voice is like ridiculously powerful. Like you can get away with incredible ass if it just starts with a playful tone of voice. So I'm practicing it all the time. I just came from the store where I got a UPS post office box just an hour ago. And young lady recognizes me and she comes up and she's kind of on it. And so I go like, seems like it's been a pretty good day so far. And I'm smiling when I say that, just a little bit. And she feels connected because I paid attention to her. I'm getting my practice in all the time because I don't know when I'm going to be in a high-stakes negotiation, going through airports. I practice with TSA all the time. Now, you don't have to be accurate. You know, TSA is usually pretty overstressed. You know, it's a tough job. They don't get paid a lot. I got a lot of demanding, unhappy people rolling through the airport. So I get through the TSA line, and I'm getting ready to pull my bag, and there's a guy standing there, and I realize, you know, I haven't practiced on anybody. So I look at him, and one of my favorites is tough day when you're having I could tell somebody's stressed. Now, he doesn't look particularly stressed. And I go, tough day? And he kind of gets a confused look on his face like my read was wrong, and it was. And so I read that. And I said, just another day. And he goes, yeah, just another day. So 5 minutes later, I'm in an extremely important negotiation. I get a call from somebody that I've been trying to get on the phone, and I close the deal in very short order. If I hadn't loosened up with the TSA guys and had it already in my brain to do a read and use my skills, I don't think I would have done that well in that phone call. I don't normally do unplanned phone calls. When I talk on the phone, I want you to get my complete attention. I'm not driving. I'm not going through the airport. I want to be sitting someplace where I can completely focus on you. But I had no choice on this one because this dude is just horrible at returning calls, and he's a good friend, and I love the hell out of him. So I took his call at a bad time. But fortunately, I loosened up. So I'm practicing all the time.
What would you say was the pivotal point, if there was any, when you did the negotiation in the bank for the bank robbers, the people that are listening to the tapes? And was there anything like key? Would you say like when I said that, like that's when I knew it started to flip and I started to kind of reel them out? Was there something specific that you can really sort of put it down to?
Yeah, and I wasn't responsible for it.
Okay.
That's why, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone, you want to go far, go as a team. Don't ever be in a high-stakes negotiation by yourself. You need another set of ears. There were the pivotal points were, first of all, I got great coaching before I got on the phone. And I listened, and I followed the guidance. Secondly, initially, my voice works in my favor. And so the guy that I talked out, about 90 seconds into the conversation with him, he said, I trust you. So we're working on this guy trying to get hostages out. Of course, that's what we're there for. We're supposed to get hostages out. And somebody who was listening, his gut instinct told him that this guy wanted to come out. And so I get a note. I don't find out for maybe 2 years who I got the note from. I didn't see him. I take notes. I'm coachable. He waited till I was giving a presentation about 2 years afterwards, and he was waiting for me to talk about that moment, and he wanted to see if I took credit for it. And he walked up to me afterwards. He says, you know who gave you those notes? I'm like, no, I got no idea. He goes, it was me. It's a friend of mine. Anyway, he gives me the note, says, ask him to come out. And so I see this note, and I'm like, all right. And I go, and how about you? You want to come out? And he says, I don't know how I do it.
Mm.
Now, that is a great big giant yes.
Yeah.
That is, give me implementation. I am out of here. And we continue in the negotiations, and I'm working on them, and I'm coming at it from a completely different approach now. And as a general, I negotiate face-to-face, which is generally against bureau policy. NYPD does it all the time. PDs do it all the time. The bureau, that is not on our list of accepted protocols. But I get another note that says, tell him you meet him outside. Same guy gave me the first note. Still don't know it at the time. And it looks to me, and I go, do you want to meet me outside? And he goes, yeah, I'm ready to end this shit. And that was a final deal. So the pivotal moments came from me not just listening to the bad guy, but listening to the people on my team who had good ears.
Mm.
because there's more information coming off of you in a negotiation than I can absorb by myself, even if I'm not talking.
Like what? Like what are you looking for?